Good evening. In the news tonight, Governor Mitch Daniels is celebrating the legislators' approval of his major moves plan, and the on-again, off-again trial of Saddam Hussein is off again.
In sports, Iowa Western ended Vincennes University's basketball season, and NFL free agent signings continue.
Newscenter 22 is next. With just minutes before a midnight Tuesday adjournment deadline, the Indiana legislature passed Governor Daniels' highway plan barely. It narrowly passed the House on a 51-48 vote. Daniels plans to sign it on Monday. The plan will allow the governor to lease the Indiana toll road to a private foreign company for $3.8 billion for 75 years. The money will be used for various highway projects, including the I-69 extension. It also gives the governor authority to make most of that highway a toll road, except for that portion between Evansville and Martinsville. House Minority Leader Patrick Bauer blasted the toll road lease to foreign investors as a bad financial deal that went against the wishes of the majority of Indiana residents. Among those supporting the plan were Republican State Representatives Troy Woodruff of Vincennes and Bruce Borders of Jasonville, and Republican State Senator John Waterman of Shelburne. Those voting against the plan included Democratic State Representative Dave Crooks of Washington and Democratic Senator Lyndall Hume of Princeton. Although it seemed the governor's major moves legislation was the only issue in Indianapolis this year, the General Assembly did manage to tackle a number of other issues. It approved one-time tax credits for about 1.5 million owner-occupied homes. The credits would mean average homeowners would pay about 4 to 5% less in property taxes this year than they would have. The tax break will cost the state about $100 million. It also approved a bill allowing Hoosiers to set off certain fireworks on their own property or someone else's if they have approval. The Knox County Council last night gave Sheriff Steve Luce permission to purchase 12 new patrol cars. The money to pay for the cars will come from riverboat gambling revenue. Council member Tim Ellerman opposed the purchase, saying the county needs to spend wisely since it's building a new jail and will need to hire additional jailers. Sheriff Luce says he plans to purchase the cars under a 4-year lease agreement with Vincennes Ford. The Knox County Council last night approved a resolution designating an area near Edwardsport being considered by Synergy PSI for a new high-tech coal gasification power plant as an economic revitalization area. Synergy Property Tax Manager Greg Scott says the resolution is the first step in granting the company's request for a 10-year tax abatement. Scott says Synergy is attempting to close a $200 million funding gap in order to finance construction of the $1 billion facility.
So how tax abatement works is basically a 10-year abatement where the first year is 100% abated, the second year is 90%, and then in the 10th year, 10% of the property is abated.
Says that even with the tax abatement, Synergy will pay an estimated $22 million in property taxes during the first 10 years of the plant is in operation. Scott says Edwardsport is the preferred site for the plant, which would create up to 100 new jobs with an annual payroll of $7 million. Scott says Synergy hopes to make an announcement on the plant site by 2007. The South Knox School Board is expected to vote on random drug testing plan when it meets next month. The plan has been recommended by a committee of students, parents, teachers, coaches, administrators, and board members. It would begin in the fall. With cold winter weather expected in the coming days, Vectren has extended its moratorium on utility disconnections until next Tuesday, March 21st. The moratorium, which prevents utilities from disconnecting customers who meet low-income guidelines and have received federal and state utility assistance during the winter heating months, was set to expire today. Vincennes police are looking for the driver of a three-wheeler who led them on a brief chase Tuesday. The man was driving through yards in the area of Hart and Perry Streets before hitting the side of a parked car in a driveway. The three-wheeler was impounded. The search continues for the driver. Evansville police have arrested a University of Southern Indiana associate dean who they say bit a Good Samaritan on the leg. Police say 64-year-old Robert Mays bit the man who had stopped to help him after he was in an auto accident. Mays was charged with battery and operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. He was released from jail on a $100 bond. According to police reports, Mays was driving on US 41 yesterday evening when he collided with a vehicle in front of him. Police say a passerby tried to stop him from returning to his car. Mays then bent down and bit the man's calf, leaving a bruise and teeth marks. The parents of a University of Southern Indiana student killed in a drunken driving crash in 2004 are suing an Evansville tavern. The suit seeks unspecified damages on behalf of 22-year-old Robert Carroll Jr. It says Harpool's Main Street exit served alcohol to the driver even after he was intoxicated. Army officials say a dislodged plug is to blame for a 300-gallon spill of a caustic wastewater created by the destruction of the deadly VX nerve agent at Indiana's Newport Chemical Depot. The depot's commander says a preliminary investigation shows 2 employees were performing maintenance and trying to tighten a plug at the bottom of the chemical reactor when the plug became dislodged. Work at the plant has been suspended. A former federal judge who oversaw the desegregation of the Indianapolis schools during more than 3 decades on the bench has passed away. Former federal judge U.S. S. Hugh Dillon died Monday in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He was 91 years old. Dillon grew up in Petersburg. Still to come on Newscenter 22, Saddam Hussein's trial is on hold once again, this time into early next month. And federal officials announced the arrest of 27 people today in connection with a global child pornography ring. Stay with us.
The public is invited to attend Meet Your Legislators on Saturday, March 25th at 9 a.m. in Davis Hall on the Vincennes University campus. The forum will include information from area legislators, followed by a question and answer session. Viewers can phone in their questions the day of the show to 812-888-5334 or send your email questions to wvut@vinu.edu. Our live broadcast begins at 9 a.m. The show will be rebroadcast that same day on WVUT at 5 p.m.
Attorney General Alberto Gonzales says there were worst imaginable forms of child pornography. Gonzales says U.S. and international authorities have nabbed more than 24 people in an online child porn enterprise. Gonzales says the 27 people charged took part in an online chat room that included live streaming video of children being molested. He says 7 molestation victims have been identified after being seen on video, including one younger than 18 months old. The people charged are in the U.S., Great Britain, Canada, and Australia. The man who was caught on tape kidnapping an 11-year-old Florida girl has a death sentence for later killing her. A judge in Sarasota has sentenced Joseph Smith to death for murdering Carly Bruscia. He had earlier given Smith life prison terms for kidnapping and raping the girl. A jury had recommended death for the murder. Saddam Hussein took the stand at his trial for the first time Wednesday, using the opportunity to deliver a message to the Iraqi people. The former Iraqi president was his usual combative self, but this time the judge had enough. Dave Kirshner reports on the fiery courtroom exchange.
Saddam Hussein testified for about an hour, introducing himself to the court as the president of Iraq and the commander-in-chief of its armed forces. Referencing recent sectarian violence, Hussein urged Iraqis to unite against the U.S.-led coalition in Iraq.
So these plots aim to weaken and divide the people. Our people have been resilient and strong in their resistance.
The political rhetoric aggravated Judge Rauf Abdul Rahman, who insisted Hussein answered charges that he ordered the 1982 killings of 140 Shiite men. Hussein appeared irate.
You respect yourself. What is this? How could you talk to me like this?
The series of outbursts prompted the judge to close the session to the media. Hussein is the first of the 8 defendants to discuss politics on the stand.
This is the first of the 8 accused really to go off off the deep end. It's a little surprising that where Saddam specifically had the opportunity to attack the evidence, that he continued in the same kind of political trend that he has continued.
The trial is adjourned for 3 weeks. It resumes April 5th. I'm Dave Kirshner reporting from Atlanta.
Iraqi police and relatives of the dead say a U.S. raid north of Baghdad killed 11 people, most of them women and children. The military says 4 died and a militant was caught. Associated Press photos show 11 bodies, 5 of them children, arriving at a hospital. Explosion rocked Baquba, Iraq today. A roadside bomb hit an Iraqi police patrol. An official said 1 officer was killed and another was wounded. Also in Baquba, a motorcycle bomb exploded in a marketplace. Police said 2 people were killed and 6 were wounded. An Iraqi army convoy had just passed by the area. In a third incident, a bomb exploded in a cell phone shop in a central shopping center. An official said 2 people were killed and 12 others were wounded. General John Abazad insists Iraq is not tipping towards civil war, but he says it's essential a unified government be formed soon. The Central Command Chief tells Congress most Iraqis want to hold Iraq together, not tear it apart. 3 military officers say another 700 U.S. soldiers will head to Iraq. War veterans and hurricane victims set out Tuesday on a march to New Orleans in protest of the war in Iraq and what they call lack of relief aid for Hurricane Katrina. The 140-mile walk is scheduled to end Saturday in the Crescent City, where marchers will be joined by anti-war activist Cindy Sheehan. Participants in the walk include veterans of the Vietnam War, the war in Iraq, and victims of Hurricane Katrina. They're demanding an end to the war in Iraq and an increase of resources to help hurricane victims rebuild their lives. 1 person is dead and 7 others are missing after a dam burst on Hawaii's Kauai Island. The water swept away at least 2 houses and washed out the only road along the island's north shore. In the previous 2 days, between 2 to 8 inches of rain have fallen across the island, with 17 inches in the higher elevations. Winds nearly twice as strong as they were yesterday aren't making things any easier for fire crews in the Texas Panhandle. Gusts of up to 40 miles per hour are expected today as crews continue fighting wildfires that have charred nearly 850,000 acres since Sunday. The fires are blamed for 11 deaths. The nation's biggest tax prep company is being slapped with a $250 million lawsuit by the state of New York. The state says H&R Block fraudulently steered customers toward a losing retirement plan. The suit says the only investment option had such a low interest rate that the plan consistently lost money. Is the iPod craze causing our nation to lose its hearing? The American Speech Language Hearing Association released findings today that suggest popular portable listening devices may be taking toll. Brianna Keeler reports.
It's the iPod era. Portable listening devices and MP3 players rule the sidewalks, the gyms, and the subways.
Don't know how I lived before I had my iPod, which is silly since I've only had it for about a year.
The popularity of these devices with earbuds or earphones have concerned hearing health experts for some time.
If you're listening to an iPod at its maximum setting, there's no doubt that that will cause a hearing loss over time.
The American Speech Language Hearing Association is calling attention to a national survey showing portable listening devices can hurt hearing, especially for teenagers. But the ASHA also found adults aren't concerned about the problem, even though they listen to music louder and longer than younger people. Once hearing is gone, it's gone for good.
The time when they start to have ringing in their ears or complain of a hearing loss, it's far too late. There's nothing to be done about it at that point. So it has to be preventative.
And that means the music is fine, but turn down the volume.
You want to get it below 90 decibels, which on these iPods, a good safe gauge is between 1/2 and 2/3 maximum volume.
And just to give you a sense of what 90 decibels is, that's the intensity of a lawnmower. Continued exposure to sounds above that can cause gradual hearing loss. In Washington, I'm Brianna Keeler.
Sony says it's postponing the release of its PlayStation 3 game machine until November. It blames delays finalizing copyright technology. The debut had been planned for spring. Sony's video game chief says the delay involves copyright protection technology for the Blu-ray disc format being adopted for the PlayStation 3 and Sony's next generation high-definition video. Online dating, speed dating, and even blind dates have people looking for love connecting every day. But what if you just want friends, real friends? One clever entrepreneur from New York has the solution. Alina Cho reports.
This could be just another day at the spa. A blow dry, pedicure, massage, and makeup application. Dorothy Buzz is getting the full treatment.
Getting ready for the party.
Except this party is different.
Okay, ladies with the red tag, stay where you are. Ladies with the blue, rotate over one station.
It's like speed dating, except it's for single and divorced women. The U.S. Census says there are more of them today than ever before. These women, in the search for Mr. Right, are also looking for female companionship, a friend, someone to go out with on a Saturday night. This event begins at a spa on New York's Long Island, where the women primp and in the process begin to bond. They bond more over wine and cheese and over beauty tips.
This just gave her a little bit of lift.
The women-only events are the brainchild of Jay Rosenzweig, founder of WeekendDating.com. He got the idea after noticing women at his singles events were getting along really well with other women.
I said, I need to do something where I can just do an event to get women together in a platonic friendship type of way, because people seem to need it.
Dorothy is 55 and divorced for 15 years. Most of her friends are married or have moved away.
Weekends that I would want to go out, well, this friend's not available or whatever, and there are fewer. So I wanted to do something different.
Sandra Sesa is 30.
What I hear over and over again is that they're running out of female friends.
That's for sure. I know I'm in that situation. A lot of my friends are engaged, they're married, they're in serious relationships.
Laura Kendriva and Gail Edmoni met at the last women-only event. They have since become close friends.
You know, it's just like when you meet a guy, you need that chemistry. I think the same thing applies for girlfriends.
Back at the Celestial Salon and Spa, Dorothy Buzz and her new girlfriends are now ready for a night on the town. Jay has arranged for them to meet up with some single men, but these women don't seem to care.
So the guys really, I have to say, are secondary. I mean, it's always nice to meet a nice guy, but this is a lot of fun. I'm having a ball, having an absolute ball.
The women say if Mr. Right does come along, that would be a bonus. Alina Cho, CNN, Smithtown, New York.
Jeff King won his 4th Iditarod sled dog race today, finishing under a full early morning moon in Nome, Alaska. It took the 50-year-old musher 9 days, 11 hours, and 11 minutes to complete the 1,100-mile race. Still to come, more rain is in our forecast. Amy Reef will tell us how much when Newscenter 22 continues.
Tune into WVUT this Wednesday night. At 8, watch Windsor Castle, A Royal Year. The ranger for the 15,000-acre Great Park of Windsor Castle is none other than Prince Philip. Like the castle, the grounds have a pageantry of their own. Stay tuned at 9 and 10 for Monty Python's Personal Best. This series features cast members' favorite moments from the classic British comedy series. First up, John Cleese at 9. At 10, it's Terry Gilliam. Wednesday night on WVUT.
Well, Amy, the weather over the past few days has been pleasant. Will that continue?
We can expect the pleasant weather to stick around for a few more days, but some winter weather is on the way. Good evening, everyone. As we take a look outside at our tower cam, it is currently sunny at 51 degrees. Wind is out of the northwest at 7 miles per hour, and the humidity is at 31%. Barometric pressure is at 30.28 and falling. Taking a look at some local temperatures, sunny all around just like yesterday. Princeton, Indiana is at 51 degrees, Washington 52, Lagoti also at 52, and Lawrenceville, Illinois is at 51. Looking at our national temperature map, you can see that most of the northern part of the United States is still pretty cool, but that's normal for March temperatures. Temperatures are averaging in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, typical for this time of year. Looking out at the west coast, temperatures are averaging in the 40s and 50s. San Francisco is at 52 degrees. Out on the east coast, we have New York City at 45. And for your nation's high and low, we have Minnesota at 20 degrees, and Christus Corpi is at 79 degrees. Pulling in our surface map, you can see that we have this area of low pressure developing out in the Pacific Northwest that will eventually be pulling its way into the Wabash Valley, generating some wind, rain, and possibly even snow that will be making its way in over the next few days. But for now, we're going to be sitting pretty calm as this high pressure system is going to let us enjoy the calm weather for just a few more days. Now for a look at your forecast. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 40. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 57. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy with a low of 34. And now a look at your extended forecast. Friday, partly cloudy with a high of 44, low of 27. Saturday, partly cloudy with a high of 44, a low of 28. And Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 43, a low of 31. Kurt, that's a look at your weather.
Thanks, Amy. Still to come on Newscenter 22, Kristen Miller will have highlights from last night's VU game, plus the rest of the day in sports.
Coming up this week on 22 Magazine, Maggie Cornian, theater manager for Vincent University's new Red Skelton Performing Arts Center, will be here to talk about the latest major addition to the VU campus. And Elizabeth Ellis will be here to talk about Southern Indiana Home Ownership Incorporated and efforts to help low to moderate income families find homes. That's the next time on 22 Magazine, Saturday night at 7:30 on WVUT.
Blazers come up short. Good evening, everyone. For TV 22 Sports, I'm Kristen Miller. The season came to an end for the Vincent University Trailblazers last night as they dropped an 88-70 decision to Iowa Western College in the NJCAA District Championship game. VU coach Everett Sullivan says the Blazers didn't have the firepower to give up with Iowa Western.
You know, we're so inside oriented and we depend on those guys making plays, and when we're not making outside perimeter shots, it's a little bit tougher. I like to press a little bit more, but we don't have the extreme quickness necessary to get back when that lead got away from us. But, you know, I'm happy with the performance of the team. You know, I feel bad for some of the sophomores, but they did go out fighting, and that's how you want to lose. You lose against a good team, you can hold your head up and be proud.
Avery Patterson bagged 8 three-pointers and finished with a game-high 36 points to lead Iowa Western. The Reavers outscored the Blazers from behind the three-point arc 14-6 and from the foul line. O.J. Harrison led VU with 14 points as the Blazers closed the books on a 26-6 campaign. Iowa Western moves on to the National Junior College Finals, where they'll face second-ranked Northwest Mississippi next Tuesday in a first-round matchup in Hutchinson, Kansas. The NCAA men's basketball tournament got underway last night with Mothman routing Hampton 71-49 in the opening round game in Dayton, Ohio. The Hawks advanced as the 16th seed in the Minneapolis Regional and will play top-seeded Villanova on Friday in Philadelphia. Chris Kinney led the Hawks with 18 points and an opening round record 6 three-pointers. 7'2", 320-pound center John Bunch became a crowd favorite, getting 5 blocks to go along with his 10 points and 6 rebounds. Notre Dame hosts Vanderbilt tonight in the first round of the NIT. The Irish are 15-13 overall this season, while the Commodores are 17-12. With students on spring break, Notre Dame guard Colin Falls says the Irish know they have to be ready to play even if there's a small crowd. Indiana State coach Royce Waltman will continue coaching the Sycamores next season, but his position with the team doesn't come without a warning. Athletic Director Ron Prettyman still plans to reassess the program next year when Waltman's contract runs out. This year, the Sycamores struggled after an impressive 8-0 start that included an upset of then number 18 Indiana. Throw defense out the window when NBA's highest scoring teams get together. Raja Bell scored 25 points, and former VU Trailblazer Sean Marion added 24 points and 11 rebounds as the Phoenix Suns outscored the Seattle Supersonics 129-120. The last time these teams met, they combined for the highest scoring game in the league in 11 years, a 152-149 double overtime win by the Sonics in Phoenix. The San Antonio Spurs maintain a share of the Southwest Division lead and top the record in the Western Conference by beating the New Orleans Hornets 96-81. Tony Parker had 20 points and 11 assists for the Spurs, and Brent Berry added 16 points while making all 6 of his shots from the floor, including 4 3-pointers. The Spurs and Dallas both have 50 and 14 records. The Mavericks beat Cleveland Tuesday night. The Denver Nuggets continue their grueling 7-game, 10-day road trip when they visit the Indiana Pacers tonight. The Pacers won for the second time in 3 games Monday, 97-83 over Orlando. Dante Culpepper passed a team physical, and the Miami Dolphins announced they'd acquired the veteran quarterback from Minnesota in exchange for a second-round draft choice. The official word comes nearly 24 hours after the trade was reported. The 3-time Pro Bowler asked the Vikings to deal him after 7 up-and-down years in Minnesota. The Indianapolis Colts have paid out a $1.5 million bonus to keep Dominic Rhodes under contract next season. With the Colts losing free agent Edgerrin James to Arizona over the weekend, Rhodes could be competing for the starting position during the summer's training camp. Former baseball star Dwight Gooden was ordered held without bond today and is facing up to 5 years in prison for violating the terms of his probation. A Florida Department of Corrections spokeswoman says the 41-year-old Gooden was arrested after admitting to a probation officer that he had used cocaine. In spring training action, Chris Duncan homered off Randy Johnson and drove in the game-winning run as St. Louis edged the New York Yankees yesterday 4-3 in exhibition action. Johnson yielded 1 hit in his first 4 innings before giving up 2 in the 5th, including the solo homer to Duncan. The Cards return to Jupiter, Florida today to face the Florida Marlins. Mark Mulder is expected to start for St. Louis. The Chicago Cubs got double bad news yesterday. There was the 4-2 loss to Seattle Mariners in the preseason play. Then came news that starter Mark Pryor and first baseman Derek Lee are headed to see a specialist for shoulder soreness. Lee bruised his left shoulder at the World Baseball Classic on Sunday. Carmelo Anthony of the Denver Nuggets will be the co-owner of the Helen Graham team in the Indy Racing League this season. Anthony says it's a dream come true. He says he hopes that his involvement with the team will bring a wider fan base and more interest to the IndyCar series. And Kurt, that's a look at sports.
Thanks, Kristen. Still to come on Newscenter 22, ever see a billion-dollar bill? Not too many people have since they don't make them. However, a man in California is in trouble for counterfeiting at least 250 of the bogus billion-dollar bills. Stay with us. Hey buddy, got a change for $1 billion? Federal authorities seized 250 old-looking counterfeit billion-dollar bills. Of course, there's never been a billion-dollar U.S. banknote. The current biggest denomination bill is the 100. The phony billions were found in a Southern California apartment. 45-year-old Takal Zagata has pleaded guilty to 3 federal counts, including bringing phony bills into the U.S. Officials say no one has been fleeced by a bogus billion-dollar bill. And that's all for this evening. For Amy Reef and Kristen Miller, I'm Kurt Maddox. Good night.